and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey Kramer and I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and Airbnb co-host. At the time of recording, I currently co-host 30 Airbnbs in 5 different states. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 3 strategies for maximizing my revenue and maximizing my property's occupancy rate. And be sure to stay until the end because I may throw in another bonus pricing tip. Let's jump right into tip number 1. And that's do not use Airbnb's smart pricing feature. This is a common rookie mistake that I see, so trust me, do not use it. This is a feature Airbnb has in place that you can turn on, where Airbnb will essentially pick your pricing for you. It sounds great in theory, but 99% of the time, Airbnb makes your pricing way too low, which results in you losing a ton of money if you decide to use their pricing. And that leads me to tip number 2, which is to use a third-party dynamic pricing software. My favorite one is called Pricelabs, and it helps with 2 main things: maximizing my average daily rate and increasing my occupancy percentage, which ultimately results in me maximizing my property's revenue. But I want to be clear that there's no pricing software that's going to magically make you a boatload more money. Ultimately, Pricelabs is a tool, and it's really awesome because you can construct it to think exactly how you would want to, by putting pricing settings and rules in place on the front end, and then Pricelabs will essentially follow those rules at all times. A couple of example rules that you can put into Pricelabs would be like, if your property is vacant for the next week, lower your price down to $125 per night. Or another one would be, if someone wants to book my property 8 months in advance, only let them book for a minimum of 7 nights. So while I highly recommend you use a dynamic pricing software like Pricelabs to help you maximize your revenue, just know it's all about the inputs that you put into these softwares that's gonna make you a lot of money. And if you're interested in signing up for Pricelabs, check out the link below for a free trial. And of course, I'll get a little kickback for introducing you to the software that I use for literally all my Airbnbs. Next up, we have tip number 3. And this is all about helping you thrive during the off-season. No matter where your Airbnb is located, I guarantee that it has some season or at least a couple months that's known as the slow season. So how do you not just survive during the slow season, but actually thrive? Here are a handful of things that you can do. The first option is to incentivize weekly or monthly stays. This could be by offering discounts, creating minimum night stay rules, or marketing your property on platforms that target people who are looking for longer stays. Option number 2 is to lower your weekday pricing. No matter the season, unless if you're in the middle of nowhere, chances are you can get your weekends filled up. But if it's the slow season and you notice that just your weekends are getting filled up, you should consider lowering your weekday prices substantially. At first, I was stubborn to lower my weekday prices because I just wanted top dollar, but in reality, during the off season especially, when the demand is not as high, you may just need to lower your prices to attract more and more guests. If you can get a couple extra bookings during the weekdays during your off season, your revenue and occupancy rate will go up big time. Before I go on to bonus tip number 4, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, bonus number 4 is a rule of thumb that I want to give you when you're running your Airbnbs. The farther out the date, the pickier you can be. But on the flip side, the closer the date, the less picky you can be. Here's what I mean. If someone wants to book your property a year in advance, you can absolutely charge top dollar and require a longer stay. Because since those dates aren't for a whole year ahead, you have so much time to market for those dates. So do not settle for a reservation when you're that far ahead. For my lakefront properties, if someone wants to book a year in advance, they have to pay top dollar and have a 7-night minimum. No exceptions. However, on the flip side, if someone wants to book your property on a short notice, you can't be as picky as you were for reservations a whole year in advance. Because in this situation, your calendar is likely somewhat empty and you just want to get those days filled. So instead of a 7-night stay, you may allow a 2 to 3 night stay. And instead of asking and charging top dollar, you may have to discount your prices a bit. And there you have it. Those are my top 4 strategies and pricing tips for your short-term rental. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.